Gregory, your friends are worried about you. They're here with me. Please come out. Gregory, I may have told the others I saw you in the vents earlier, but it was just a glitch. It won't happen again. It's been such a difficult day for all of us. Why don't you come out, and we can play another round together? It won't happen again. It was just a glitch.
Gregory, be still. I think she's found us.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to What If, the series that asks what would happen if gaming looked just a little bit different. Where today is a big day, folks, because today we are starting a new series on the channel. Well, kind of, anyway. As you've probably seen in the title and the thumbnail of this video, this is the first episode of What If Combined, where, as the title suggests, we'll be doing a similar thing to what we usually do in normal What If episodes, but instead of focusing on one game, we're going to be combining some games together. If you ever wanted to see what it would look like if characters from games you love were in other games, or even just wanted to see what they would look like in another game's art style, then this is the series for you. Now for this first episode, I thought, why not start this series off with a bang and cover a big franchise we've yet to tackle on this show, Five Nights at Freddy's. With FNAF SecurityBreach on the horizon, what better time to start covering this beast of a franchise? And not only that, but combine it with another beast of a game that was the focus of the first ever video on this channel, Among Us. I mean, it's almost a perfect combination already. Not only do all of the colours of the main FNAF characters appear in Among Us already, but there are already bear ears. These games are just asking to be combined, don't you think? So, since I don't think animatronic beans would really be the most interesting to see drawn, though now I say that I am actually kind of intrigued to see what they would look like, and I just feel like drawing something simpler than usual with some big, bold brushstrokes, let's see what some of the many FNAF characters, specifically the original 4 with a couple of surprises thrown in here and there, would look like if they were costumes in Among Us. Let's go! Alrighty then. Where better to start when drawing the original FNAF gang than by drawing the main bear himself, the original Freddy Fazbear. This was probably the easiest one of the group to draw since, like I just said, bear ears are already a hat in Among Us. So all I really had to do here was just copy them and change the colours around a little bit. As for the bow tie and the hat, they had to be drawn from scratch, and while they started off looking a little weird, once I was done, I think they looked pretty nice on our little brown bean. Also, you'll notice with this one specifically that when it came to drawing the actual Among Us beans in general, I didn't actually draw them completely by hand. I essentially just traced over an image of them and then just kind of put all of the costume stuff on top. I just thought it'd be easier than trying to draw them by hand, because then I get a more sort of accurate representation of what they look like. So yeah, that was the reason for that. Another thing you'll notice is I don't really have a lot to say when drawing all of these. Like, there really just wasn't much that went into this, because like I said, it's a really simple art style, really simple just video in general. So yeah, there's not a lot to say, but I'm just going to kind of let the drawings go in silence more than anything, so yeah, hopefully that's okay. Next up is the purple rabbit, Bonnie. On this sketch, you can probably see I thought about adding his guitar for a second, but when I got around to actually drawing him, I decided it would just be better to keep things as simple as possible and have just his bow tie and his little ears. When I was looking back at the footage to write the script, I actually had a moment where I was like, wait, should I have added buttons? Does Bonnie have buttons? Which resulted in me Googling it and then finding out that while Withered Bonnie does, original Bonnie, who I was basing this drawing off, doesn't. So I guess I was half right? Either way, this Bonnie has no buttons and we're sticking with it. It was at this point where I actually started to have some problems with Photoshop. For some reason it wouldn't let me save the file after this point, which was really weird. I was using the latest version of Photoshop, the 2021 version, but when I changed over to the 2020 version, the issue wasn't there and it suddenly let me save things again. It was really weird, but hey, at least we'd found a solution, I guess. Plus, I was lucky that I'd finished 2 out of the 4 characters at this point, so I could just essentially export them as PNGs and just sort of transfer them over, so it all worked out well, but it was still annoying nonetheless. Alright, after going back a version in Photoshop, I moved on to drawing Chica. This one was pretty uneventful overall, since I had the beak of the Plague Doctor mask to actually base her beak off, which was nice. But the bib ended up being a bigger problem than I thought it would be, mostly because of the writing. I wasn't 100% sure how to draw it at first. I did consider using text rather than writing it out for a sec, but eventually I just decided to write it out as best I could. I'm still not completely happy with how it looks, but it works. It works. Alright, last but certainly not least, we have everyone's favourite pirate fox, Foxy. This is probably my favourite one out of all of them, to be honest. Not just because my favourite FNAF character also happens to be Foxy, but also just because I really like all the little details I got to put on this one, like the pants and the eye patch and the metal leg. I just think it came out so well. He looks so cute. I also had a bit of trouble with the outline and colouring of the eye patch, but once all that was sorted, the rest of the process was pretty simple. So, now all the main characters were done, I thought it'd be cool to add some pets into the mix. Like, if you were able to buy these FNAF outfits as a set in the game, maybe these pets could also come with them. And of course, the first thing that came to my mind when thinking of FNAF-themed pets was Chica's cupcake. Drawing this was a little bit of a struggle to begin with, since I couldn't quite get the details right with the thick brush I was using to begin with, and also I couldn't quite remember if the cupcake had teeth or not, so I ended up spending ages drawing teeth on this thing, only to Google it later and find out that he doesn't actually have teeth, so the struggle was for nothing. Yay. Also, in the sketch for this, I originally drew the cupcake next to Freddy. I have no idea why, but in the final drawing he went next to Chica because, well, it just makes sense, you know? Also, I am aware that the Nightmare cupcake has teeth, but those teeth aren't really the ones I was thinking about. I was thinking of, like, the buck teeth that he's sometimes drawn with. Just pointing that out. And finally, on the pet side of things, since the pets in Among Us usually come in sets of 2, I decided to try and add a simplified version of Rockstar Foxy's parrot to this, just for fun. I know original Foxy doesn't have a parrot, but I wasn't about to draw a whole other version of Foxy just to make sure the parrot was with the right one, you know? I really wanted each character to be distinct from each other whilst matching all the colours in Among Us. Drawing this parrot was a little strange since I wasn't quite sure how to draw a parrot in the Among Us style, like I didn't have any reference, but I think I ended up with something that looks pretty cute and simple. I'm quite happy with how it looks. At this point, with 4 characters and 2 pets, I thought I was done, to the point where I'd actually started to lay out the final picture with the victory text and everything. However, it was as I was doing that an idea for a cool extra little thing sort of popped into my mind, and I knew I had to get back to Photoshop to draw it. That idea being a small revamp of the ghosts to make them more FNAF-y. I thought it'd be a cool idea to have the ghosts look a little bit different if you happen to pick a FNAF costume for your little Among Us bean. And of course, if you're talking about ghosts in Five Nights at Freddy's, the next thought is obviously crying children. Yay! So that's what I redesigned the ghost to look like. And now, with all the characters done for definite this time, it was time to lay them all out together on the victory screen. I originally had a blank victory screen that I found on Google, but then I realised I wouldn't be able to size all the characters up properly if I didn't have a background with at least one character already on it to position them against. Once I finished positioning them all, however, I went back to try and find the blank background again so I could swap it out and not have a half-covered Among Us being there, but I lost it. It felt like it vanished off the face of Google. I couldn't find it anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. So I ended up just having to work with what I already had and try and cover up the background being as best as I could. I think it looks okay. It's just annoying that I had to go through all that when I had a blank background already there and then it just went. But we got there in the end. We ended up with a finished result. So let's take a look at it, shall we? And there we have it. I'm really happy with how this drawing came out. The Among Us style is just so satisfying to draw in. Like, it's so simple and bold, and you're able to get away with some shakiness in your lines, which for someone like me who's already a little shaky when I draw, it's a nice change from the usual, like, trying to make every line perfect type thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this first episode of What If Combined. I feel like I need to work on the name a little bit, but it'll do for now, I guess. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes, or just any thoughts about what I drew today, or what you would draw, or whatever, leave it all in the comments. And with that, I will hopefully see you in the next video, whichever series it may be now. See ya!